We're a global company. We have offices, a couple offices in the States, several in Europe and in Mumbai, with data centers in Los Angeles, Nimes, in Mumbai. Also, if you'll notice, we do have an office in Waldorf, which helps us with our close connection to SAP. And again, SAP, we're a partner of them, as well as IBM and as well as Microsoft. We have two complementary product lines, focusing more on the data document output management at this point, but basically they go hand in hand. What we're trying to do is focus on efficient, effective ways of taking the data out of the box and putting it in the form of information into the hands of your business users. For those of you who have ever spent any time in sales or had to run into Zig Ziglar, who claims to be the world's greatest salesperson, and I've always been skeptical if you had to claim that, but he had the phrase, everybody's in sales. I think it's true of every company. Every company is a seller, but every company is also a buyer. When I was, a number of years ago, I was at a Forrester conference, and I got to hear Rick Wagner, then CEO of General Motors, speak. And basically his concept of what a supply chain was and how it should react was the very graphic statement that if somebody buys this car with leather seats in Peoria, Illinois, a cow in Argentina should flinch. Having said that, once again, we're not going to be able to cover the extent of the supply chain in every different aspect in every different spot, but I think we can get an example. The common problems, the common documents that both buyers and sellers, and everybody seems to be both, with the possible exception of the cow in Argentina, they have to be faced with documents. And those create some challenges for those folks. Documents have changed. Every company now with the web, and it's so established, has become a worldwide company. You need to be able to change quickly, change languages, change currency. There are compliance issues. What we need to do is break down the document creation bottlenecks. We talk about being digital, but it's still documents that we have to pass out, whether they're in a digital format, which most of them are, or into a paper format. We have to streamline this process, and we have to keep pace with the change of these documents. Getting documents out, whether it's a purchase order that we'll talk about in a minute, or an invoice or a packing list, these are the things that make the difference in how effective and efficient your company is. Getting things out the door quickly, getting the purchasing done quickly and effectively. We're talking about changing the difference between a day, 2 days in delivery, a couple days in the invoice. And those are days of sales outstanding. We're talking cash flow, and that's important to every company. So meeting those challenges, you want to increase productivity. You want to improve your flexibility. Documents change on a regular basis. You've got to be able to change with them. You've got to be able to do things with them. We also want to take a look at the architecture that we talk about. And it's an architecture that extends your digital transformation that they talk about at SAP. Excuse me. What we're going to focus on today is our Rfc connector. This, we think, is probably unique in the industry and allows us to go from data to documents without going to the traditional spool files, without doing a number of things that you have to do that lock documents in. And more than that, it does it without extensive ABAP programming. You don't have to be an ABAP programmer to use our connector in our suite. And that does a couple things. One, we're talking about speed of production. We're also talking about the ability to change. And as a side note, I was at a SAP user group meeting a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about the move to S/4HANA and talking about, well, part of the move is the pre-migration work that you've got to do. And whether S/4HANA is on your radar or not at this point in time, it's the direction you're going to go if you're an SAP person. The SAP folks at that meeting made it quite clear that's the way they're going to direct everybody. And it was interesting to me, particularly, that they talked about regression testing. And one of the top 3 areas of concern, to be diplomatic, in regression testing was all the custom ABAP programming that is done in your previous versions. And they specifically singled out smart forms as an area that they really have to look at, that they really have to check in regression testing to see if it's going to work because of the intensive ABAP programming required to develop those forms. With our Rfc Connector, that's not a problem. We go directly into the database, pull the information, and use our tools without ABAP programming to do all the heavy lifting, if you will. So let's take a look at the buyer side. We're going to specifically focus on one type of document, which is a purchase order. The ability to get a purchase order out on time can mean the difference of having to shut down a manufacturing line or not. You don't want issues and hesitations. By the same token, you don't want mistakes and inaccuracies. So you want to pull it directly from the data, and you want to be able to get it out, get it approved, and get it to your vendor as soon as possible. I love this slide just because I love flowcharts. And this is what you're going to be seeing in our demo. And I'm sure you've all digested that by now, he said sarcastically. But I think one of the important things to understand, and I've always felt that good technology helps you provide a valuable process and streamline a valuable process. Very good technology masks the complexity for both the end users and for the people who have to administer the technology. And I think that's something we do very well. If you notice, if we start here at PO creation, it goes to our supervisor, our traffic cop, who will be running the Rfc Connector. Over to the database, pulling the information that we need. We create the documents. We take these documents through a review cycle. We bring it over to, after it's been reviewed, if it's an okay, we launch, we send it out by email to your vendors, but we also have a link and we return it back to SAP. If there's an issue with it, it goes back to the creator. So that's what you're going to be seeing, but let me show you after I've gone through this complex process how simple it is to actually put it together. And we're going to drop out of the slideshow, which I'm sure you're all thrilled about. And for those who don't remember, we are a French-based company. So unbeknownst to you, you are taking at least a virtual trip to Nimes, France right now, where our SAP instance is, because I know they were going to be off it, unlike possibly our LA office, and we don't want conflicts there. So what we want to do is got an instance of SAP open. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to, and if you notice, we've done this demo before, so I'm going to pre-select a function that I want to drive. So now all I do is say I want to go to that function, and I want to take my template and load my template to build my purchase order. I simply load the template, identify the template I want. In this case, we're using the header data as data to verify things with. I hit OK. I hit OK. Save, and the process is off and running. And it's just that simple. If you look at one of our other components, Supervisor, you'll see coming up very shortly, the process will start to be monitored. There we go, and we're running into an issue. We've lost connection with the server, but rather than just say, uh-oh, we know about it, it isn't something that dies on the vine. So now we've been able to go to Supervisor, we've watched the process, and we see there's an error. So now what we have to do is let's go back to SAP. We can rerun the process. And get my fingers working again. And that's part of what we want to do. We want to make sure that you as administrators, your users, have a full view of what's happening. We'll load the template again. Take it. Hit save. And now, since we've reconnected, we'll watch Supervisor do its stuff this time, and you'll see how the process runs. You'll see that it's loading, it's now half green, it's now turning green in a matter of moments. As we said, it was a complex process, and it does take a little bit to do that. But while it's doing it, let's take a look at some of the configuration and how we got to where we are. This is the demo we're running right now, the purchase order demo. Here's what we've done. We've set it up as one scenario we're going to carry out is the remote function call. Our email has come, so it's obviously run. We'll show that in a second. But we've also used this to do the function call. So this is the data we're importing. I can show you the tables. You see, we can look right into SAP's database. This is a very tight integration, and we can call out any one of a number of different tables and information that we want to make this all happen. So let's cancel out of here, and let's go to our email. Well, there's our email, and what's happened? We've got something. I, as the purchasing manager, have now got to review this. I click on the review, and I will log in because we are a secure organization. We don't want everything to just be available to anybody. And actually, in this case, because I'm dealing from the States, I do have to do a double login. This is not normally what we'll be doing. And in a matter of moments, it will take me to my suite. And there's a document that I have to, there it is, that I have to validate. Well, I could take a look at it and say, yep, that's worthwhile, but now I've got to sign it. So I hit e-signature. We also use electronic signatures as well. This time, just for simplicity's sake, we've gone for calling it an ink signature. Here it is. I could even bring it up to the signature block. If you look at those scribbles, the people around the office have claimed that, in fact, is my handwriting. They've had to read memos from me, and it's not an easy task. But here's where we go. We decide, okay, the signature's there. Now it gives me a chance to okay it or reject it. In this case, I'll okay it. So now with just a click of a button, it's been okayed, and it's going to send another email. And since now I'll play a dual role as a buyer in another company. But before we go there, and you'll see the email should be coming shortly. There it is. But before we go there, let's go back to SAP. And let's bring it back to the beginning. And get it going. And now we'll just take this, the documents, and what you'll notice is that PO is now in SAP. And all this has happened automatically because there's our PO in SAP. And so your SAP is up to date with exactly what you sent out in terms of a PO. But now we'll put our hat on as the buyer in another company. And let me close this stuff down because I'm just that kind of person. And now they've received an email. Email says your purchase order is here, gives a purchase order number and a link. Also showed it attached. Most times you do one or the other. A lot of people like the fact that there's a link there because it saves wear and tear on your Exchange server. So let's click here. The purchasing person would then get that. They would have their purchase order. Their purchase order not only is the purchase order, but the terms and conditions have been appended to it. So this is a complete operation, all with just those few clicks. Let's get out of here again. And we will leave France for the moment and get back to our demo. Because there's not only buyers, there are obviously sellers. And here we're going to ratchet this up a level because now we showed one document, but as we saw in the earlier slides, these aren't one document processes. In this demo, we're going to show not only are we going to modify the sales order to meet a new requirement, but we're also going to generate not only a pick list that's going to go to your warehouse people, a packing slip that's going to go to shipping. Now, for the sake of the demo, the labels can go directly to a printer, but obviously you couldn't see that on a webinar. And we even have full support for Zebra printers through Nice drivers. But we'll put that in the same folder as the shipping people because that's another way the process might go. So now we've got a packing list going to warehouse, shipping labels going to our virtual printer, if you will, and a packing list going to our shipping folks. But not only that, we're going to generate an invoice. But unlike the packing list and the shipping label and the pick list, this has got to be reviewed. So we're going to send it basically through a review function once again. It's going to go out. If it's approved, it's going to be sent back out to the customer. and it's going to be returned to SAP. So back to France we go. Close this down for a moment. Get over to our SAP, call up another function, and now we will get a new order number. Well, this is the order number I need to work with, so I'll search for it and I'll find it. And I've looked and they've only ordered one of these. Well, the good news is the salesman's given us a call and said, no, it's not one, it's now 10. So now I just increased the order, I've modified the order on the fly on SAP, but that doesn't make a difference to Compleo, because once I've done that, I then hit save, and as you recall from our supervisor, I've kicked off another process. And that should be showing up just in a matter of moments. And what you're going to see is a whole series of processes that are going to start off. And of course, we're going to go to our email, which is going to bring us to the review cycle on the invoice for the internal people. And you can watch it happening. These are all the steps that are happening. And there's our email letting us know, and we're all set. We've gone through several steps to get to where we need to go. But this is all handled by the technology. Now let's take a look. Let me get to our desktop because that's where our folders live. And what we've done is in our warehouse, I've got a packing list. And here's the packing list. Special instructions have been added, barcodes, everything they need, quantity ordered. Now if you'll notice, yes, it does have a comma there. This was done by, initially set up by our people in France, and that is the European way, but that can be adjusted as well. So we have our 10 as opposed to 1. Now we look at shipping. What is shipping received? Shipping's received our packing slip. It has the information we need. Again, quantity is correct. All the order numbers are there. Get this a little bigger for you. And everything you need for your packing list is all set. And we also have a label. The label is sized right. It has all the instructions. It has the purchase order. It has our logo. And it has everything we need to just slap on there. It can come off a zebra printer and you're all set. But having done all that, let's go back to our email because we have to approve something. This is our old email. And now I have to approve. But I've been logged in, so it takes us right to console. And in this case, we have one task to do. We have approve the invoice or reject it. Looks good to me, so we'll approve it. And we're back in business. It's now been approved, and it's on its way to the customer. And there's your customer right there. And we have that email all set. So before we go to that, I want to show you a couple things that we can do as well. Let me close down a couple of these things and get over to Designer. And this is the tool we use to create the designs that we've been talking about. Go to Navigator. This is what we originally start with. An XML document. This has been pulled from SAP. Remember all those things we checked off? That's what that document is acquired. We then can go to choose the template, and let's do the packing list template for this. No, I don't want to save the modification. Here's the packing list. Now, if you notice, we only have one line item here because the packing list, we have the ability to do a data table. If you're going to use the entire data set that's in the XML, all you have to do is put the one area into a data table and it will populate on its own. But now you want to make some changes. First of all, you found that legal has told you, oh, you need an additional line in the footer that says back orders will be shipped when available. So let's go to our header and footer. But they've given you very specific instructions that you have to follow what they have written. So let's pull that out. I happen to know that where it is, and there's a statement about back orders. And I hit OK, and now that, and I can position it where I want, is officially there. Oh, and they've also been told that in some places they need to have not just the information about the packing list, but they need to also have some graphics on there that show what are the shipping instructions. So let's go to some images. Let's pull an image, and we want to put it right here on our packing list. And once again, we browse a local file. We take these graphics, hit OK, and now we've modified it. Let's get it a little bit clearer. So we'll shrink it down a little bit. But what we've done is we've added text, we've added graphics, and all in a matter of seconds, we've modified it. We can change any of these areas just as quickly, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time doing that. Let's save it like this, and for brevity's sake, we'll just run this template directly. We've run the template. And you'll see that the new shipping document, the new packing slip will open up, and not only will it have the data, it will have, I got the old one. I went to the wrong spot. Oh, let me find the new one in the warehouse. Did I use the pick list? I used the pick list instead of the packets. That's what you call user error. So I added it to the pick list, and now I say, well, gee, I didn't want to do that. How about making a bug a feature? So I can delete these things in my template for my pick list just as easy as I added them. But I think you get the idea on that. So let's go back to our emails, and your invoice is here. Now we're customer level, my invoice is here, and just like the other one, a simple link is put in, the invoice is sent directly to me. So what we've done is, with a couple clicks and a save, we've created all those different documents, put them where they need to be, run the invoice through a review cycle, and once that was approved, directly out to the customer. We've taken XML data and created multiple documents from it that we pulled directly from SAP. So, what do we have? What do we deliver to you? Increased productivity. The ability to get things out, saving a day, saving 2 days. We're talking cash flow, reducing manual steps. And that keeps jumping on me. I need to stop hitting that. Improve flexibility. We've got customized workflows. And as I said, these are examples. We can do the workflows. You just have to give us a chance to see what yours is, and we can mimic it. But we can show you ways to improve it. And then the enhanced agility. And this is huge. The ability to change for customers, the ability to change for regulatory purposes, the ability to change just because it needs to be done from an internal reason. That's the thing we want to talk about. That's what we do for you. We pull it directly from SAP, from data to documents, without a lot of steps, and more importantly, without a lot of ABAP programming. So, questions. There, we'll check the question. Please feel free to enter any of the questions in the questions block, if you would. If you have it already, let me take a look. Either I've been very thorough or you're all asleep. Hopefully it's the former. But it looks like there were no questions. So what I want to say is thank you all for showing up. Once again, my name is Rich Basil. I'm a solutions consultant with Simtrax. I thought we had a question. Nope. And what I do want to encourage you to do, go to simtrax.com, download a free 15-day trial. Take some time, play with it. Feel free to contact me either by email or by phone if you have any questions on it. And have a good day. I appreciate your time. Thanks very much, folks.